All right, deep breath. So I've shot this probably 100 times. I can't stop laughing for some reason. I don't know why. Get yourself together, Wallace. Get your props ready. And what's happening, everybody? It's Ryan. Welcome to the channel. So I was planning on starting this video tomorrow, but the kids don't have school because of snow. I have to go to work. By the time I get home, I know what it's going to be like in this house. So I figured it's 12:30 at night. Everybody's asleep. Perfect time to start a video. So this is a follow-up video for the Nest Video Doorbell. The Nest Video Doorbell. Why is that so difficult for me to say? Before I get into the review and the follow-up discussion, I wanted to give a big thank you to the YouTube community that have viewed this video. So I've been creating content for about 6 months. I have over 50 videos online, and most of those videos get anywhere from 10 views to maybe a couple hundred views over a 6-month period. This video has been up for 5 days and it has over 5,000 views, which is so crazy to me. Again, this is just a hobby. So to see people watching this video, and not only watching it, but people are commenting, we're having discussions about the doorbell. I'm ecstatic to see the reaction from this video. On top of that, I have so many new subscribers. Welcome. Hopefully you stick around. And I have some likes and I have some dislikes. I'll take them all. So thank you for taking time out of your busy days to watch just some normal guy's video about a doorbell. I greatly appreciate it. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. So I've had the doorbell now for 5 days. I have some things I definitely like. I have some things I don't like, and we're gonna talk about it all right now. So here we are 5 days since the installation of the video doorbell, and I wanted to circle back because there were a lot of questions and comments on the page, and I want to try to answer as many of them as I can. So first, there's some things I really love about this doorbell. There's some things I think they need to work on, but ultimately there are 3 things you need to be aware of before you run out and buy this thing. The first and the most important is the Nest ecosystem. So Nest has a subscription model. Yes, a subscription model. Now, before you pull a Jerry Maguire and flip out...
Well, don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what you all think I'm gonna do, which is just flip out!
Nest does offer a non-subscription model. You can use these devices without it costing you a penny more. And let me tell you what that looks like. Let's say you go out and you buy the doorbell or a camera, you hook it up, it automatically starts taking video. It's always taking video. But in the non-subscription model, it doesn't start recording until it detects motion or sound. At that point, you get an alert, you go into your device, and you see a short clip of what it recorded, of what the event was. Now you can take that clip and download it, export it, save it, do whatever you want with it. But after 5 hours, that clip is gone forever. For me, I'm gone from my phone long periods of time, so I went the subscription route, and the subscription route has 3 tiers. The first tier costs $3 and gets you 5 days of cloud storage. The second tier is $5, it gets you 10 days of cloud storage, and the most expensive is $25, that gets you 30 days of cloud storage. I don't know, outside of a business, maybe 30 days is important for residents. You're gonna know, my thought is within 24, 48 hours that you need to go back. So I think the $3 subscription model is fine. That's the route I went. So I do wanna point out that you can't game the system and not subscribe, then your house is broken into, and then you say, aha, I'll subscribe and I'll be able to see 5 days back. It doesn't work that way. So I wouldn't do that. If you feel like you wanna have it on the cloud, just subscribe, it's $3. So that's the Nest ecosystem. Be aware of it because I don't want you to think this is always capturing video. It's not the way it works. Now let's talk about installation. All right, you're getting ready to install the Nest doorbell. Before you do, I have a couple suggestions that will hopefully save you a trip to the hardware store when you're right in the middle of doing the installation. So I had very few problems, but my buddy had several problems. And I think what we realized is you have to think about the surface you're installing this on. For me, it was a wood surface, so I had zero issues drilling an extra hole, throwing a screw in there, and being done with it. He, however, was installing this on a brick surface, and he had several issues. The first was this masonry drill bit that you get for free in the box is not very good. So I'd consider, and he recommended, getting either a drill bit set, just getting this exact size so you have something from the hardware store that's better than what Nest gives you. The second thing he recommended is sanding down the surface. His area where he put the doorbell wasn't level, so it wasn't sitting flat. Just get some sandpaper, sand down the area around where your doorbell is going to be, and that way you won't have any issues installing it. The third is the wiring. I had a lot of wire coming out of the hole where my doorbell was. He had very short wire, so he was able to make it work. But if you're at the hardware store, just ask them, like, is there extension wire you can buy? Nest provided these extension cables. The issue I have with these, I don't know if they're for the chime box or if they're designed for the doorbell. If they're designed for the doorbell, there's no way this knob is going to sit anywhere behind the doorbell. So I hope these aren't designed for that. Maybe they are. If they are, this isn't going to work. But those are the things that I would consider with the install. Oh, the last thing, I put silicone around my doorbell. It sits pretty flush, but I figured why not put silicone there to prevent water from going behind the doorbell and into where all the wires are. So that's what I did. Hopefully some of these suggestions help and save you some time. So now let's talk about some of the things that I really think are cool about this doorbell. Man, I don't think that install section could have been in a more monotone voice if I tried. In my defense, it was really late at night, people were sleeping, but hate when it doesn't all feel just right. So let's get into the pros and the cons and just some final thoughts on the doorbell. So overall, the doorbell is nothing more than an extension of the Nest ecosystem. So if you already have Nest cameras, which I do, you're already familiar with their user interface, which I am, and you're happy with it, you're gonna like this doorbell. The camera's solid, just like all the other cameras Nest puts out. The notification works well. I really like on the user interface the ability to go back to old videos, to select certain segments as clips and to export those and save them. It has a time-lapse feature, and I'll show you a pretty cool time-lapse that I got with the snowstorm we had. Check that out. And as you can see, the time-lapse might be a little bit gimmicky, but I thought it was neat and something maybe I'll use from time to time. And then I really like the fact that you can set zones. So in my house, as an example, here's an image of the outside of our house. You have this walkway that goes to a house next door. So I was getting a lot of notifications of people walking by our house saying somebody's at your door. Well, nobody was at my door. So I set up the zone at the bottom so it's just pretty much my property. It's somebody turning off the sidewalk to walk to my door. And now with that set, I only get notifications of people coming to my door. Now I can go back into the online cloud storage and see people walking by my door if I wanted to, but I'm more focused on notifications to the door. So that leads me to notifications. The notifications work really well now that I've set up the zones, and I really like the facial recognition feature. Now the facial recognition, can't say that. The facial recognition feature has pros and cons. The pro is once you have a name set and it recognizes that person moving forward, it says, my son, as an example, Jackson is at the door, which is great because I know Jackson's at the door and he's home, but I know I don't have to go into the app and see who's at the door. Conversely, if somebody comes to the door that I don't know, it says unknown person at the door, and that prompts me then to go into the app and see who's at the door. So I do really like the idea of the facial recognition feature. The downside to facial recognition is if somebody looks at the doorbell just like this head on and you name it. So I name this shot Ryan, and then the doorbell catches me like this, it doesn't recognize that as the same face. So it says new person. Now I could ideally label this is Ryan 1, this is Ryan 2, but what the device tries to do is learn your face. So as it sees more head-on shots, it puts that into the Ryan folder, and I think it's trying to get better at learning your face. Well, if I've labeled the side profile picture as Ryan 2, it's dropping all those into Ryan 2. So it's really not learning my face, it's just learning different perspectives of different viewpoints of my face rather. So I wish you could go into the app and say, select a photo and say, this is Ryan, and it would add that to the Ryan folder to help speed up the learning process. You can't right now, but that could be solved in a software update. So it's not really a knock, it's not perfect yet. And I get that. The other thing that I would say that I really like is the ability to add just quick little built-in messages. So somebody comes to your door, you can say, hi, I'll be right down. You don't have to talk through it. And they have some presets that you can use. Maybe they'll have more down the road, but right now I really like that. A thing that I found as a downside is because this is an outside doorbell, you get like trees shaking, leaves blowing around, and I find I get notifications that somebody's at the door and it's not a person. And it doesn't happen a lot. It's only happened a little bit, but I'll get some notifications that someone's at the door and nobody's there. So again, that's software update that could be resolved, but it's something that I'm experiencing right now. So the last thing I want to touch on is something I already talked about regarding their subscription model, but there is one downside to their subscription model that I don't like. And it's the fact that as you grow and you buy into this ecosystem, it's going to get really, really expensive. Take me as an example. I told you how there's tiers for their subscription model, and the base one's $3, which I don't think is that expensive. You spend more than that at Starbucks or buying a beer. But for me, if you start to buy into this ecosystem and build out, you're going to have more devices. I have 2 cameras and a doorbell. And if I want each of those devices turned on and to have iCloud storage, it's $3 per device. Now, I think I'm a minimalist at 2 cameras and a doorbell. Some people might want 5 cameras and a doorbell. Well, that's 6 devices at $3 each. Now this has gotten expensive, and I think Nest needs to do something to say, your first 2 devices are $3. When you add your third, your fourth, your fifth, that's $1 extra, because then you can live with that and it makes sense. And that customer is still a more valuable customer than the guy that only has 1 device and pays $3 or doesn't have a subscription at all. And you want to encourage people to grow that network so they're invested, but to make every person pay the same amount regardless of 1 camera or 50 is crazy to me. I think that needs to be fixed, and Nest is never going to see this, but that's the only issue. If you want a full-blown security system and you say, I want 6 cameras and a doorbell, this might not be the best solution for you, because it's going to get really expensive really quick if you want access to the video on their cloud. So that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Get better, be better. I'll see you next time. See ya!